So yes, a brand new update just went live for Cyberpunk 2077 in the form of patch 1.23. But what does it include? We're going to go over all of the changes that have been implemented into the game with this patch. We're talking about gameplay, visuals, stability, and performance, PC specific and Xbox specific changes here. So we're going to dive into it right now. Also, we're going to go over the recent Steam community reviews to see what the actual player base is saying about this game as well. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here, hope you're doing good. And let's do this. We're talking about Cyberpunk 2077. So let's dive into this brand new update, shall we? We're going to talk about the gameplay changes first and foremost. So it goes on to say this: they fix an issue where after killing an NPC and stealing their car, their body could get stuck in the car. Adam Smasher will no longer receive damage during animations between his attack phases. Fix an issue where dropping an NPC's body caused too much destruction. Okay. Catarist cyberware should now work properly. Yay! Now on the visual side of stuff, they fixed Johnny's spectral appearance in various quests. They also fixed various issues related to clipping an NPC's clothing. Fixed appearance of rocks in the Badlands. Yep, because you know you gotta fix them rocks. Sometimes the rocks just don't look right. Now they also fixed stability and performance stuff. They go on to say this: numerous crash fixes in animations, UI, scene, physics, and gameplay systems. That's good to hear. Memory optimizations and memory management improvements in various systems, reducing the number of crashes. Nice. They also have various console CPU optimizations and memory and IO improvement, leading to fewer instances of NPCs with identical appearances spawning in the same area, and to improve streaming. So that's good news that they're going to be reducing that. You know, there were a bunch of memes related to that when Cyberpunk first came out. Now, what about PC specific? As you know, 85% of the player base in total for Cyberpunk are, guess what, on PC. So let's talk about it. It says fixed an issue where it wasn't possible to click the upgrade button while playing with 1280 by 720 resolution. They also fixed an issue where toggling the windowed and full screen modes with alt enter made the game appear unresponsive. Now for Steam, they changed language settings to default. We'll now set it to the language of the Steam client. A pop-up message asking to verify integrity of the game data will now be displayed when incomplete or corrupted game data is detected. So there are some changes there. And then Xbox specific, they say fix an issue where signing out during a scene fade out could result in the game being partially unresponsive. Then they also fix an issue where the pause menu would open up again on its own if the Xbox guide and the pause menu were closed in quick succession. So nothing on the PlayStation side of stuff. As you guys know, the game has returned to the PlayStation Store, but the patch does include also a bunch of changes to quest lines and open world stuff, you know, gigs, changes to the heist with fixes, you know, so a lot of stuff going on with the actual quest lines, fixing things. I'm not going to go over all of this. I think it would be kind of boring for me to sit here and go over every little minute detail with those fixes. But yeah, it's a smaller patch for sure. A lot of us are probably wondering also, hey, where are the, you know, the bigger updates? We're dying for the bigger updates. So what we do know officially, it appears that 60% of the team, possibly more after this update, are working on new content for the game, DLC, that sort of thing, and that goes beyond fixes. So that's what's happening. Now, again, you know, Cyberpunk is being returned to the PlayStation Store June 21st, but because of that, they're also going to be discontinuing the PlayStation refunds page as of June 18th as well. So it seems that's going to be happening as well. Now, as promised, let's dive into some of the Steam community reviews. This is where the core community is, of course, experiencing the game. We're going to look at reviews in the past few months after some updates and see what everyone is saying. There's both positive and negative reception to the game still to this day, but you know, as it stands overall, the Steam reviews are over 70% now, so it's going towards the positive for Cyberpunk. Let's take a look and see what Fancy Toothpaste had to say about Cyberpunk, shall we? He goes on to say the following: Everyone complained about the bugs and glitches, but the real problems are the game systems are terribly outdated. People were promised a next-gen experience. I've played games from a decade ago that have better open worlds than this. And he goes on to say, police appear out of nowhere. Police are amazingly easy to escape. You can walk a block away and lose them. Civilian NPCs appear and disappear when you're not looking. Now, regarding police, you know, they've done some efforts to actually update the police system, but as you guys know, it's been pretty minimal. It's been sad what they've actually done with the police system. There's been modders that have outpaced CD Projekt Red themselves. So hopefully CD Projekt Red gets on it. We'll see. Now they go on to say the AI is a lot more artificial than intelligent. The only reaction they ever had is a duck or completely disappear in thin air. The AI is basically on rails. They will not drive or walk around anything you put in front of them. They'll just stop and sit there for eternity. They're trying to update that as well. The world doesn't actually feel alive. No random encounters. Enemies spawn in the exact same place every single time without fail. Bars and food are exactly the same vendor with different coat of paint. No matter where you go, you can't sit down and eat something or sit and enjoy a virtual drink. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people want that, you know, that simple thing. You could do that in GTA 4 even. It says you can't interact with shopkeepers beyond buying something or receiving maybe 2 lines of chit chat. You can't rob them, you can't kill them, you can't get quests from them. They won't even react if you lob a grenade at them. Then it says the car chases are on rails. There's only 3 or 4 prescripted car chases in the game. Again, you know, modders have actually implemented actual car chases with police, staying a step ahead once again of CD Projekt Red. Now it says here only 2% of choices your character makes in dialogue has any effect on the story. The rest are just alternate dialogue to give the appearance of choice and replayability. You get the, you know, the hint here that a lot of the systems are outdated, and of course the path system is very, very underwhelming as well. And basically the gist of this review is saying that there's more issues just beyond the bugs. That's the gist of this one. Now we do have a review here from Anichi, or Anish, I think it is, and their reception of the game is, guess what? Positive. They say recommended. And they go on to say this: I really like this game, but as you might imagine, it comes with some serious caveats as well. Pros: excellent main story, fantastic main characters, the main plot is really quite unique and it's a real blast. Some very nice concepts are talked about without getting too heavy-handed in the herder technology bad trope so common in sci-fi. Gorgeous open world, I totally agree with this. Absolutely teeming with beautiful locations, NPCs, places to explore. I haven't been this wowed by an open world setting in a long time. Aesthetically, at least, it's quite fun to explore and find new places. If you're willing to read all the shards, the world building is actually pretty freaking amazing, very detailed and authentic, and it really feels like Night City has a lot of history. And that's the thing, you know, it's great that they have that option of reading the shards. I think those shards needed to come to life in certain experiences beyond just reading things, you know. That's my opinion about that one. But also, they say pretty fun combat movement once you get the double jump, and driving is actually really fun, especially because the city is so beautiful. I can't remember the last time I fast traveled in this game. Well-written characters and dialogue doesn't feel like they're trying too hard. Now, for the cons, they say this: the forced RPGiness is in a clearly action-adventure game. The game forces so much loot you can collect. I've heard this several times, by the way, about the issue with loot. Let me know if that's something you guys agree with or not, if there's just too much loot in this game. But he goes on to say experience points, skill trees, etc. There's just too much of it. The game doesn't have deep combat gameplay mechanics, he says, and I really wish they gave more limited loot and more rewards at the end of missions instead. This game tries to be an RPG. It is not an RPG. NPC AI is hot garbage. The world doesn't react to your actions in a meaningful, convincing way. It's beautiful to explore, but there's not so much to really do, and most buildings are locked, which just makes the world feel less alive. Gigs and most side missions are just receive instructions, go and kill some people, steal something, get out. There's zero variety, and most side missions don't have interesting stories to back them up. Like The Witcher 3, you don't get invested in most side missions. Let me know. I've heard different opinions about that one, actually. Now, it says V has no effect on the world. It's so frustrating to get some interesting main or side missions with an actually engaging story, but I don't get to make any interesting choices that have any real consequence. It's clear that there were points when the devs had something more planned but had to scrap it due to time constraints. Very few actual choices, and those you do have hardly any consequences at all. And then surprise, surprise, bugs, lots of them. So yeah, of course there's going to be bugs. And he wraps up by saying, it might seem like there's more cons here than pros, so what gives? Well, I felt I had to explain the cons in better detail, and it's also owing to the fact that this game has just had so much potential. As it stands, this game would have actually been pretty well received if it weren't for CD Projekt Red's aggressive marketing, but hey, what can you do if you want a great open world to explore and engaging main plot, plus a lot of slightly filler-y side content? This game is for you. So yeah, let me know which review you agree with here. We have a negative review, and then of course we have a more positive review with a lot of honesty as well in there. That's the one thing that I've noticed with these reviews, is that people just type out their feelings, and you know, sometimes they contradict with what other reviewers are saying out here. But overall, right now, the good news about the Steam reviews is, again, it's going more and more into the positives. Now, again, my opinion is they should have just put like an early access warning on this game or something. Like that one reviewer said here, that the game had too much marketing behind it, and that was one of the things that really got it in trouble for sure. Especially when it comes to old gen stuff. They did say this: we definitely did not look at last gen as much as PC and next gen, says CD Projekt. And that's obvious, because even Sony, when they brought the game back on the PSN store recently, they're like, hey, you know what, you should probably avoid the base PS4 version of the game right now. Alright, so now I wanted to highlight that this is really cool, so I wanted to highlight this one. Check this out. Don't know if you've noticed this detail. The thing is, the game still has some really amazing details in the world. Check it out. It says, can we take a minute and discuss how the NCPD color changes when the police siren is on/off? This comes from Full Metal TS. So go into the world and see if you can find this yourself. It's a pretty cool detail that someone noticed. Yeah, you know, the game does have these really cool details, and I just feel like, dang, if they only had delayed it by one more year. That's my thinking. Now, also, let's go over your top comments from my most recent Cyberpunk video, shall we? Let's do this. My most recent video about Cyberpunk was called Cyberpunk is Back, kind of. Brand new updates from CD Projekt Red. Sony gives a warning. This is about how Cyberpunk is back on the PlayStation Store. I also talked about how there was an article saying how, you know, our open world's getting too big. You know, is that one of the problems on the side of redundancy with side quests and what you actually do in an open world? And also, is it a problem for developers trying to get the game done and finished with? Let's see what you guys had to say about that one. Cutro says this: big maps isn't the problem. Big maps with nothing to do in the giant swaths is the problem. I hear ya. Absolutely. Roger Furlong says some open world games are ridiculously big in my opinion. The map for most of the AC games are huge with nothing to do in giant swaths of the map. Red Dead Redemption 2 had a pretty damn big map, but there is tons to find and do. That's the thing about Rockstar. They really take their time on their games, don't they? Now, Okami Kira says, I just hope they give us the game we were promised. Probably won't happen anytime soon, but hopefully we'll have something near the end of 2021. Yeah, I would say more like 2022, the end of 2022. That's my assessment about everything, and given the history of how games are kind of fixed and how long it takes for them to fix games, because you got to remember that CD Projekt Red also needs to move on to other projects as well. It sounds like they're already doing that, and they have like a team. I don't know if it's like considered a skeleton crew on Cyberpunk or what, but that's usually how it goes. Now, Royale Beast goes on to say the following right here. He says, I'll come back when they have a police system and the AI NPCs won't randomly disappear all the time, and mainly all the things that pull me out of the immersion. Jay Media says, I've been wondering how they might do the DLC. Most DLCs in other games are just like an annex to the vanilla game. What I would like to see is to have the DLC integrated into vanilla. I don't mind going through the whole thing again. If there are new features, I think they should re-release the game how it should have been. Yep, a lot of people want to see the cut features also added back into the game as well. Now, here's one of the most upvoted comments here. I don't know why it's not arranged for me by, top comments first, but Tom Murphy says, I really want a story DLC that continues the ending with Pan Am. A lot of people agree with that one. Sean Williams says, I remember when this channel only posted Cyberpunk stuff daily. I know, we were all so hyped for this game. I was, it's CD Projekt Red. How could they fail? You know what I mean? That's what I thought. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 updates and, of course, more open world gaming goodness. And I will see you all next time. Take care.